Saturday here in Indianapolis. Saturday, October the 15th. Another huge weekend of college pigskin, college football. It is, where are we at here? Sorry, pulling it up to see how chilly it is, but it's not working. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, what a fun filled Saturday this could be. 43 degrees right now here in Indianapolis. It's going to be a great weekend, um, a great week of college football, and really it's a big weekend. Bryce Young, we're going to see if he plays against Tennessee. That is going to be a mammoth game. Alabama going into Knoxville. College game day is at Knoxville. The boys are all there, setting up, getting ready. Pat McAfee's there again. Kirk, Desmond, all the boys. Hopefully Lee Corso can join them this week. I've not heard if he is or not. He's not been there for the last couple of weeks. And Peyton Manning is going to be the guest picker in Knoxville. Holy cow, that place is going to go berserk. That place is going to go nuts. Getting 18, or when he was there, he was 16. But getting Peyton Manning back in Knoxville is going to be absolutely humongous. And that game is 3:30 kickoff. Alabama's actually an 8.5-point favorite. That is, I'm kind of surprised at that. If Bryce Young plays, then yes, that could turn out to be the result. If he does not, this thing's going to be a lot closer. I think this is going to be a great game. If you look at both teams, total yards, Tennessee's second, Alabama's 10th. On defense, this is where the experts are giving Alabama the better, the spread and the more chance to win this game. Alabama's 15th in defense and total yards. Tennessee's 183rd. So they're letting up a ton of yards, a ton of points. They're letting up 17 a game, which you may think that's not many, but that's 133rd in the nation. So it's going to be a great matchup. Bryce Young is really kind of the whole centerpiece here. If he plays, then Tennessee, their defense is going to be in a little bit of trouble. But if Alabama has to rely on their backup and kind of plays like they did the other day, I mean, Tennessee's got a legit chance here. Tennessee is, like I said, they're second in yards. They get the ball and go. 46 a game. That's second in the nation. 44 a game for Alabama. That's fifth. So both teams are going to put the ball in the end zone frequently. It's just going to be a matter of, number one, who can get off the field on third down. They both kind of struggle with that. 41st for Alabama, which is pretty good, and then 80th for Tennessee. Along with those stats is the home field advantage. 3:30 afternoon coming out of the tee. Tennessee is going to be ramped up and ready to roll with this game, so it's going to be a great game. I really think Tennessee can get the job done. I really do. 8.5 is a lot to cover for the betting aspect. I think they not only cover, but I think they get the job done. I think they get the win. I think they win at home. I think Bryce Young, even though if he does play, I don't think he's going to be 100%. So I think it's going to be one of those where it's going to be very, very questionable how their offense works anyway. But I think Tennessee gets the job done at home. So that's a huge game. Another huge game, noon kickoff, Michigan, 7-point favorites. They're ranked 5th. Penn State ranked 10th. Penn State comes into town, 7-point favorite for Michigan. We're looking at 53 degrees, a little bit of wind coming through. And if you look at this game and try to dissect it, it's really one of those things where Penn State has played well. Michigan has 43 points a game, which is 7th. Penn State 34, which is 37th in the nation. So both teams are scoring the ball. Here is where the difference really comes into it. Neither team is allowing many rush yards, 81 and 79. The total yards, Penn State's letting up 359. Michigan's letting up 274. Now, the competition's a little different. At Michigan the last couple weeks, their defense has not been their issue. It's been their offense. But When it comes down to the end, the third, the fourth quarter, where Michigan really starts to get going, where they've gotten going the last couple of weeks, in that run game with Hiram and everybody starts to cruise a little bit, what happens then? There's the Penn State defense where they can stop the run. They're really struggling against the pass. They're letting up 262 passing yards a game. Michigan's only passing it for 246 a game. So to win this game, Michigan's going to have to put the ball in the air. They cannot rely on Corum to run every single play and McCaffrey to run around like they have. They've got to put the ball in the air and make some things happen. So I think Michigan has the horses to get this done. Michigan's got the defense. It's going to be a defensive struggle. The question's going to be when Penn State starts to get that rushing game a little bit, does Michigan continue to dominate the line of scrimmage on the defensive side, how they have in the run game, and then can their cornerbacks cover as Penn State is starting to get that passing game going? Neither team lights you up with passing, 251 for Penn State, 246 for Michigan. But like I said, it's the pass defense. Michigan's only letting up 165. Penn State's letting up 262. So who in the secondary can hold strong, get them off the field in third down, and move on? It's a 7-point favorite for Michigan. I'm taking Michigan. I'm taking them plus the points. I think that they show up big. I think today their talent outlasts Penn State. I think Penn State has played well. I just don't think that they have the horses to get the job done up in Ann Arbor. So I'm picking Michigan to not only cover but win. Let's look at the noon kickoffs. We got Illinois hosting Minnesota. Minnesota's a 4.5-point favorite. They're 4-1. Illinois is 5-1. If you look at this, it's going to be a Big Ten slugfest. Actually, Minnesota's offense is putting the ball. They're moving the ball pretty well. They're almost 500 yards a game, and their defense is actually what has stepped up and kept them rolling. Purdue got them. Illinois has been on quite a roll. They've been able to rush the ball. Minnesota's scoring 38 a game. Illinois 26. So if the Illinois defense, if that Illinois defensive line and their DBs can hold strong against this Minnesota offense that is starting to come around, Illinois will get the job done. It's interesting that Minnesota's getting points on the road, 4.5-point favorite. I just think that people like them because they are more experienced. Illinois has played better. They've kind of squeaked out a few wins. So I kind of like Illinois, not only to cover the 4.5, but I think they get the job done at home. It's going to be a great atmosphere in Champaign. Excuse me, and that's going to be a huge game for how the Big Ten really falls together here. 4-1 and 5-1, that's huge for those guys. Kansas coming off a disappointing loss last week. This is a huge game. They go to Oklahoma. Oklahoma's getting 10 points at home. Kansas is 5-1. Oklahoma's 3-3. 10-point favorite for Oklahoma. And really, when you look at it, if you kind of look at the stats and look at what each team does, Kansas is actually lighting it up better. They're scoring close to 40 a game. Oklahoma's only at 30. They are able to rush the ball. So is Oklahoma. Both of them are a little over 200 yards a game. Both are close to that 440-yard mark per game. So their offenses are similar, but Kansas is scoring more. They're scoring 10 points a game more. The defense is where both these teams come into real question. Kansas is really iffy in the back end. Their secondary, and Oklahoma can't stop the rush to save their life. So is Kansas going to actually up the game on that rush game a little bit, and is Oklahoma going to throw it a little bit more like they historically have? It's going to be a great game. It's going to be Oklahoma 3-3. They need this one in a bad way. Kansas coming off that bad loss last week, not bad, but upsetting loss last week against TCU. Everything was there. Gameday was there. They played with them really the entire game and lost at the end. I think Kansas goes on the road and gets the job done. I think that they not only cover, but I think they win outright. 10 points is a lot of points to be giving a team like Kansas on the road. But it's Oklahoma at home. They're pissed off. They're 3-3. They've got to get this crap together one of these days, right? So we'll see what happens with them. But I really, truly think that the Kansas Jayhawks get the job done on the road. Maryland at Indiana. This is a game many people won't care about. It's 11.5-point favorite for Maryland. Indiana, it's just, if you want to try to get to 6 wins and get to a bowl game, you got to win this game. This is absolutely inexcusable if you lose this one. Maryland's 4-2. They're playing better. Their offense really has come alive with Tua's younger brother. They're at 38th in the nation with 471 yards a game, 34 points a game. Their defense, they can't stop anybody through the air. Their rush game, one game they're good, the next they're not. They're letting up 22. IU's defense is awful. If you look at these ranks, 221st for total yards, 233rd passing, 132 rushing, and 228 total. They're letting up 30 points a game. Maryland is going to run them over. It's 11.5 point spread, and I think it's going to be double that. I don't think IU has a chance in the world of winning this game, but hopefully they do. Hopefully they stay close. Again, at 3-3, you start off 3-0, barely beating some of these smaller schools, some of the Division II schools, and then you're just getting run out of the building on some of these Big Tens. Yeah, you hung out with Michigan last week, but you lost ultimately. Georgia hosts Vanderbilt, 37.5 point favorite. That's going to be just a cakewalk for Georgia. They're just going to run them over. If you look at Vanderbilt, they're 3-3. Georgia's 6-0. The defense from Georgia is going to absolutely dominate the offense of Vanderbilt that struggles. They are only passing for 200 yards a game, rushing for 167. So they're going to rush the ball, but the problem is Georgia only lets up 90 a game. And the Vanderbilt defense will not stop Georgia at all. So Georgia big in a cakewalk. Oklahoma State at TCU. This is a sneaky, crazy good game. It's another 3:30 game. This one will be actually on ABC. A 4.5 point favorite for TCU. They are 5-0. Oklahoma State's 5-0 as well. So this is a huge game in the old Big 12. We're going to have a good old-fashioned shootout because TCU's 5th in total yards. Oklahoma State's 34th. If you look at the points, 46 for each of them, 46.4. That's 3rd in the nation. So they're both going to be throwing the ball all over the place. 25th and 32nd, respectively, around that 300 yards game. And then rushing. This is where TCU may have a little bit of an advantage. They're averaging 230 yards on the ground. Oklahoma State only 158. And then if you look on the defensive side, they're both very, very similar. They're both close to that 400. Actually, Oklahoma State's letting up 440 yards a game. TCU 413 points. They're both around that 23-24. Both are very strong in the run defense. It's the pass defense. TCU's got a little bit more under control, only letting up 268. Oklahoma State's let up 304. I think TCU gets the job done at home. 4.5 point favorites. I think that they hold serve. I think this is one of those, the over-under 68, I would take the over. I think this is going to be a 45-42 game, maybe a 50-49 game. This is going to be an absolute shootout. It's going to be awesome to watch. Can the TCU front four get to the Oklahoma State backfield? That's going to be a big question. And can Oklahoma State's secondary hold up as TCU just airs it out like they do? So it's going to be a really, really good, fun game. The TCU rush game could be the thing that's the difference here. But 3:30, we got a couple good games to check in on. One that on paper looks good, but it's really going to be crappy. Wisconsin at Michigan State. Wisconsin's a 7-point favorite. Wisconsin's 3-3. Michigan State's 2-4. Both these teams stink. Their offense is just awful for both of them. The rush game for Wisconsin's a little bit better. They're averaging 25 and 38 points a game. That's kind of fool's gold. If you look at defense, at least Wisconsin's in the top 100 for most things except points. They're only letting up 19 a game, but their rush, they're letting up 116, pass 230. Michigan State's awful. They're near the bottom of every statistical category, and defense letting up 458 a game, 292 through the air, 27 a game. They are not good this year. So I take Wisconsin to go into Michigan State and win 7-point favorite for Wisconsin. I think that they actually get the job done. As we continue to look here, LSU at Florida. That's a 7 o'clock game in the Swamp. 4-2 for both teams. 2.5 point favorite for Florida. I just think that their rush game gets the job done. They can run it around. Their quarterback is good on his feet when he needs to be. They're both scoring about 30 a game. They're both letting up. Actually, Florida's defense is a little bit worse than LSU's, but I think the LSU offense, I don't think that they can get the job done. So I really, truly think Florida holds it at home. And really, this one's one of those huge home field advantages, right? It's the SEC. It's an evening game at home. These night games are crazy for visiting teams. We'll see what happens there, but I think Florida gets the job done. Clemson at Florida State. 5-point favorite for Clemson. 4-2 Florida State. 6-0 Clemson. Actually, if you look at the offenses, Florida State's offense is better. They're just not scoring as many points. Clemson's scoring 39 a game. Florida State's 31 a game. Both teams are even in the passing game, around 260. But Florida State's rush offense has been a little bit better. If you look at the defense, we're right down the middle, both letting up about 350. Florida State's pass defense has been really stingy all year, 178 a game. But they can't stop anybody on the ground, and Clemson can. They're only letting up 62 yards per game on the ground. They're both around that 18 to 20 point mark. It's going to be a tough game for Clemson to go into Florida State and get the job done. It's a 7:30 kick. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a hostile environment. I think they get the job done. I do. I think that they force turnovers. I think that the Florida State rush defense is going to be a problem. Even though they're only letting up 150 a game, that's not a ton. But I think Clemson runs it down their throat, and I think they get the job done. Nebraska 14-point underdog at Purdue. Purdue's 4-2, Nebraska's 3-3. It's another game. If Purdue wants to have those aberrations of hopefully sneaking into the Big Ten title game, they got to win this game at home. They are the better team. Aiden O'Connell has to play well. 14 points is a lot, but I think they win and they cover. Mississippi State, Kentucky, 3.5-point favorite. Mississippi State 5-1, Kentucky 4-2. This is at Kentucky. Kentucky needs a win. Their offense has kind of been sputtering here lately, but Mississippi State's been 38 a game. Both defenses are pretty even, but the Kentucky defense is a little bit better with passing and rushing. I still think Mississippi State goes and gets the job done. I think that they throw it around too much, averaging 354 in the air. I think that they get the job done on the road. Another big one tonight, two more to talk about. USC at Utah. Utah's a 3.5-point favorite. USC 6-0. Utah's 4-2. This is a 8 o'clock kickoff out in Utah. This is on Fox. Watch this game. This will be a sneaky game. Utah's defense is really, really good. They're really, really stingy with the pass. They can get after it. Both teams are letting up 19 a game, but third down is where I think Utah will make USC obviously have to work for it. USC's at 52% on converting third downs, and Utah's only letting up 31%. So something's got to give there on that third down. I do think that the pass game for USC, they're only 278 through the air, which isn't a ton, but that's pretty solid. I think that will overcompensate for the rush game for Utah, and I think USC 3.5-point dog on the road, undefeated, ranked 7th in the nation. How great is college football? But I think that they get the job done at Utah. This is going to be a sneaky game. It really is. It's going to be a good game, and that's one to really take a peek at into the evening here. Another one tonight. My Carolina Tar Heels go to Duke to play the evil Blue Devils. 7.5-point favorite for my boys. Their offense has been unbelievable. May has been throwing the ball all over the place. 42 a game. Duke's scoring 32 a game. Here's where it really gets kind of iffy and worrisome for my Tar Heels. We're letting up 32 a game. Duke's only letting up 19. Both teams are solid on third down. The pass defense for Duke is not very strong. Their rush defense is better, and Carolina is much better through the air than on the ground. But these rivalry games like this, a lot of crazy stuff can happen. I do like the 7-point spread for my Tar Heels. I do think that they go get the job done. I think that the Duke offense cannot keep up. And I've thought this before, and they've proven me right and proven me wrong and all kinds of stuff. But I truly think that Carolina gets the job done in Durham and gets the win, goes to 6-1, and then we're really looking good for that coastal division. So anyway, that's it for our breakdown of the games for today. College Game Day is on. Let's all go take a peek. Let's tune in. Peyton's going to be there soon. Who do we got? Let's go through this again. We got Illinois at home. We got Michigan. We got Kansas. Yeah, I think Kansas gets the job done on the road. We didn't talk about Texas and Iowa State. Iowa State's going to be really, really, that's going to be a challenging game for Texas, but I think that they win and they cover. We also talked Indiana getting demolished by Maryland. I think Tennessee gets the job done at home against Alabama. Michigan over Penn State. I think TCU wins over Oklahoma State. I think Wisconsin gets the job done in East Lansing. Florida gets the job done at home against LSU. I think Clemson goes into Florida State and wins. Purdue wins at home. Mississippi State goes to Kentucky and wins. USC, even though they are a underdog, I think that they get the job done and win at Utah. And I think the Carolina Tar Heels take down Duke, get the victory bell, paint it Carolina, or keep it Carolina blue, and let's keep it going. All right, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. Please let me know. Comment below who your picks are. A couple big games today. Michigan, Penn State's a huge one. Alabama and Tennessee is going to be a big one. And then USC, Utah. Watch that tonight. That's going to be clever. All right, that's going to be a tricky, good game. So make sure you're tuning in on that. And let's have ourselves a Saturday. Have a great college football Saturday. And we'll check in through the day about how wrong I am.